right now I invest in technology companies and help build really great new technologies. And that comes out of this idea of that when I'm particularly interested in this idea of technology and invention actually moves humanity forward. That when you go and you invent something new, you're helping everybody. And sometimes those come in places that you would never expect, but you can actually have political change come from creation. So historically, there's the railroad and the telegraph and things like that were so important in the development of European borders. But what I had wanted to study and what I really spend a lot of time thinking about now is what does the internet mean for that? What are the changes that the internet brings to humanity? How does it push us forward?
So how do you think technology can change the world and have a social impact in our lives?
Yeah, so technology can have amazing impact on our lives in ways that we've sort of already seen. There are things like Arab Spring that have gotten a lot of attention, but then there are things that are a lot less obvious. The speed of communication, this ability that you have to unite people completely across borders, across time zones, it makes the world a far more universal place. And in an era where looking back, it would have seemed so difficult for us to really have this notion of international governance. We really have it. And we're really starting to build a sense of diplomacy that you would never have had traditionally, but where nations are interacting in a whole different way because people are interacting in a whole different way. We don't have those boundaries. We're all on Facebook. I can be on Facebook communicating with a friend who's in Russia, and Facebook communicating with a friend who's in India and Facebook. And that's totally the way it's supposed to be, and nobody bats an eye and just assumes that that's the case. So it's really about bringing people together, and when you think about what changes the world, it's how we bring people together, and that's exactly what the web is for.
Absolutely. Tim Draper said that all entrepreneurs are social because they all make the world a better place. Do you agree with that? And I think, of course, there are some entrepreneurs that are more social than others. So where exactly do you draw the line?
So I actually think invention, as I mentioned, I think invention pushes humanity forward, and it'll come in unexpected places. And so even if you view a product and you think, oh, well, that product is very much about making money, for example, it's hard to in the moment understand the very great impact it can potentially have. So if anything, I would totally agree with Tim. It is fundamentally social. Social is defined as moving humanity forward and doing great things. It has to be, because that's what creation is. And you can't anticipate what's going to change the world and how big the impact's going to be on day one. You know, an easy example that I'd love to point to as I think about this, Coca-Cola, right? You can look at the beverage and think, oh, that's very much about selling sugar water to people, and what could you possibly be doing to push us forward. But the truth is as that product became so universal and so popular across boundaries, across people, across nations, and you think about how the Coke company, for its business, really built these great networks and figured out what logistics were, and while the world developed a set of universal tastes, again, it was doing this great thing that ultimately brought us together, even if it was all about selling sugar water in its time.
That's a great example, actually, yeah. So you say that the Hattery helps build business and organizations that make an impact on people's lives and the world we live in.
So at Hattery, we spend a lot of time thinking about what's the nature of the business that we want to invest in when we see it. And typically, we're investing in businesses that help power other businesses. So whether you're thinking about tools for developers, for mobile developers, or you're thinking about tools that make it easier to give charitable donations. Those both fit our view of what social is and how we make the world a better place, even though they would seem very different.
Right.
For us, you're empowering networks and you're empowering systems, and that's so important. And so while one of our portfolio companies, Bright Funds, seems very obvious because they're powering donations to more nonprofit and charitable organizations around the world, and another one of our portfolio companies, Vessel, is really about empowering developers. They're both doing good work, and there are going to be some great, very influential applications that we believe will get built and succeed because they're using Vessel in their product.
My next question was going to be about Bright Funds.
Okay.
So how is that changing the way of giving?
So Bright Funds' model is about allowing us as donors to go in and talk about what exactly are the causes we really care about. Do we care about clean water? Do we care about development? Do we care about education? And allowing us to pull sliders across and really come up with what amounts to a portfolio of, in my case, of my causes and my interests and the things that I'm passionate about. And then presenting to me a series of really great charitable organizations doing work in that space, and then making it very easy for me to give my money to those organizations and have those organizations receive the money without a lot of friction. The other thing that Bright Funds does is they use the latest technology to really empower these nonprofits. So as an easy example, traditionally, every time you give your credit card to a charitable organization, a very large percentage of the donation is taken. So you may think you're giving $20, but in fact, the organizations will only get 15. But Bright Funds, by using a lot of the latest technology, is able to pass far more of that donation directly along to the charitable organization.
So how do you see the future? Do you like the combination of social and profit, or do you think we'll carry on with the non-profits as we know them nowadays?
I think that there's room for both, but what I would say is it's going to be more and more important for every company, if we think of this as company versus charitable organization, that every company really have a thought about what does social mean for them and how are they part of this sort of global network of people.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking the time to do this.